Hello, everybody. This is not the Podfather or the Mamba Raja. This is the Canadian Destroyer Brandon out here with a special episode of the Bulletcast. As you may know, I did a documentary on Kimo, the BTW Heavyweight Champion. It is up on YouTube. Links will go out on Twitter, maybe along when this episode goes live. But I sat down with him, talked to him about wrestling, his life, how it is to be an independent wrestler, how it is to be a trainer. It's about a 15-minute interview in total. The documentary is about 5 minutes, so I had to take out a lot of stuff. And honestly, I felt like a lot of the interesting stuff, more of the interesting stuff that a wrestling fan would think of, is in this interview. He talks about where he wants to be, what his life goal as being a wrestler, as being a trainer, and what his daily life, what his normal job is. He does not make all of his living off just being a pro wrestler. But if you would like to watch my documentary, it's called The Fighting Unicorn. It is on my YouTube channel, Brandon Tanguma. That is Brandon The Fighting Unicorn. If you just type up The Fighting Unicorn, I don't know why, but there's some weird stuff out on YouTube, and it's just like cartoons of My Little Ponies fighting. But hopefully we get that number up, and that'll be the first thing you see when you type in The Fighting Unicorn. Make sure to follow BTW on Twitter, the Bulletcast on Twitter, Kimo on Twitter, Kimozilla, I think is what his Twitter handle is. But anyways, shout out to BTW and Kimo for letting us film, letting us do this whole project. And let's just get right into it. Full disclosure, Kimo is the only person mic'd up in this interview because it was just a video interview. It was just supposed to be for a documentary, so I really didn't have to mic myself up. But I was gonna redub over this, but I kind of listened back, and you can hear my voice, and you can hear Philip's voice. Philip was with me at the time, so he sneaks in a couple questions, but it's mostly just me talking, kind of BSing my way through. Because honestly, I didn't have anything prepared. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, but in the end, it all worked out quite well. So here is the BTW Heavyweight Champion Kimo, and the first question I asked him is, why did he want to be a pro wrestler?
Basically, just like most wrestlers, I was a fan growing up. Always enjoyed watching it and thought one day I'm going to do it.
Why did you choose BTW to wrestle here?
Actually, it was a three-step process. So I started here when I was 22, and then trained for about a couple months. Ended up stopping because I was 22. I just wanted to party, go out a lot, do other things. And then I found my way to Pro Wrestling Iron in Newark, and then they shut down, and I was researching places to continue my training. And actually Chico Navarro, who was here training, he talked me into checking this place out again. So came with him, checked it out. The rest is history. Signed up and started training.
How long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for almost 11 years now.
So you're basically the head trainer right now. What's your goal, or what's your thing of teaching? What's your main thing of teaching?
My main thing of teaching, basically what I want to do is I want to pass on the knowledge that was passed down to me by the people that trained me, and hopefully one day someone that I train makes it to the next level, being either NXT, even Ring of Honor, TNA, Shimmer.
What are some of the bigger names that you've wrestled?
I've wrestled EC3, I've tagged with X-Pac, I wrestled Robbie E, Yoshitatsu, I wrestled Eli Drake, teamed with Chris Masters a bunch of times, wrestled Tommy Dreamer, who probably was the biggest name I've wrestled so far.
Tell us a little bit about your gimmick. What do you do?
Basically, my gimmick is really, it's questionable. Like, I love unicorns, so I decided let me integrate that in wrestling somehow. So I have a unicorn stick pony that I carry to the ring. I have dancing unicorns. So I have basically just guys dressed in unicorn onesies dance with me, shoot off confetti cannons when allowed. It's basically just a fun gimmick, and it's catered to be like, believe in what you want, do what you want. There's no limitations.
What was Kirk or whoever's reaction when you brought this up to do this?
I want to say he looked at me like I was crazy because nobody was really doing that in wrestling, in DC, not even WWE, nowhere. And I was like, okay. So I basically just thought of an idea. I basically borrowed Chavo Guerrero's little Pepe gimmick. Was that the name of it? But he had a little, just a regular stick pony. So I came across a stick pony in Toronto when I was on vacation, and I said, you know what? I can do something with this. I like unicorns. Let's do it. So it transpired from having that stick pony unicorn, and I thought, you know what? I need ring music that is basically something that nobody would use in wrestling. So I picked Backstreet Boys, Larger Than Life, because it's very popish, and people like it. They won't admit it, and no one else was doing that. So I wanted to be unique.
How would you describe your in-ring style?
My in-ring style is basically, it's a hybrid mix of Japanese strong style, which I'm a big fan of, a little bit of lucha libre, and mat wrestling. I try to do everything in my matches and not just have one set style. It's like more of a hybrid, I think.
So you're the BTW champion right now. Describe your journey up to becoming the champion.
For me, my journey started off as just the opener, doing the opening matches, working my way up. Then I started tag teaming, was a tag team champion. After that was done, then I started out doing the cruiserweight matches, ended up becoming cruiserweight champion. After that was done, we kind of, cruiserweight thing died out, so we got rid of that belt and eventually brought it back as the U.S. Championship, which I never held. And then I was a tag team champion again with Jeff Cobb. And then from there, after that, I just focused on singles, ended up working my way into the heavyweight world title mix, and eventually claimed that championship.
Is there a different feel when you're just a regular non-title wrestler, but then when you become the main guy and the champion, is there more added pressure on you?
Oh yeah, there's definitely more pressure. As just a performer, you have a more relaxed attitude where, you kind of, things could happen. You could just, depends on who you're wrestling also, but there's really no pressure because you're just like anybody else on the show. You're building towards that main event and helping bring that show to another level, like step by step. And as a champion, there's definitely more pressure because you have to perform at a higher level than you normally are accustomed to. And everything has to be crisp, everything has to be good, everything has to be perfect. So there's also that pressure, and to carry yourself as a champion, as being professional, backstage, at shows, or whatnot.
All right. So when you got the news that you were going to become the BTW heavyweight champion, what was the feeling like knowing that the office had faith in you?
I was in shock because it was the day of. There was nothing decided. Like there was no like master plan mapped out. Like okay, you're gonna do this, and then eventually you're gonna. It was one day. You know what? I think it's time. Here's what's gonna happen. It was just like whoa. Okay.
So wrestling's not your only job. What's your day job, so to speak?
Oh, my day job. I'm an inside sales rep for a printed circuit board manufacturer. So basically, I'm a techie, sort of.
Do you tell your customers or your coworkers that you're a wrestler? What do they say?
I try not to, but sometimes they just find out. I'm not sure how, but then I have to explain it. Then it's the whole, is it real? Is it fake? How does it work? So that's the reason why I don't kind of like bring it up to people, because I don't want to explain it and then have this 1 hour conversation of trying to educate people of what wrestling is.
Explain the training of becoming a pro wrestler. How hard is it? And a lot of people probably think since it's fake, it's not that easy or it's not that hard.
Yeah, wrestling training it's hard. I've done boxing. I've played basketball competitively most of my life, and I did high school wrestling. So it's different. It's harder. It takes a special kind of someone to just repeatedly take falls over and over and over and be slammed around by multiple people for hours at a time. So you definitely have to have a certain kind of mental toughness and passion to be able to pursue this. There's people that come in, they think they did MMA or they're a bodybuilder, that they can hang. They come in, take a couple bumps, and I can see right in their face they don't want it, because you take that bump, it's a shock. Like right there, you take that first bump, you have to ask yourself, do I want to keep doing this? because it's going to be something you do over and over and over and over and over. And that doesn't even guarantee you're going to make it all the way through to be a wrestler.
When you started first training, did you expect it to be this hard, or how's that when you first started training?
When I first started training, that's what I expected. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I thought to myself, okay, this is going to be a challenge. How can I work hard to, pursue this and stay dedicated? And that's kind of why I walked away, because I knew I didn't have that dedication. So I waited, let myself settle down, and then got to a point where I could be more dedicated to follow through and make it happen.
Tell us a little bit about the injuries you've had during your career.
Oh man, during my career I've had probably 3 concussions, a dislocated shoulder, hyperextended both knees. I have a torn PCL in my left knee. I also had just a high ankle sprain. I think it was a grade 3 is what they said, and a small stress fracture. And that was just, a month ago?
When you get hurt in the ring, do you sort of slow down, or your ego takes over and you don't want to show it and you just keep going?
It depends. There's different situations. Like when I hurt my knee, it was kind of halfway through the match when I tore my PCL. But I had to keep going because I hurt it in a match with EC3, and it was for the TNA Heavyweight Championship that was being defended at Big Time Wrestling. So there was pressure to just perform and not quit and just, end the match early. So there's instances like that where if you can do it, be smart and try it. And there's been times where I wrestled Brian Cage and I ended up breaking one of my ribs with, probably a few minutes left. And there was just no way I could have continued that match because I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, and my body wasn't working. So that kind of ended pretty much after that. And then the leg that I just recently had, luckily that was at the end of the match, so I was able to finish and do what I needed to do. But there's times where you don't know. Like, you have to just think of your health. Like, is it worth continuing? The person you're working with, they can be concerned to say it's not worth it. Let's just finish up. Because you have to think, is it worth it? How much, you're not doing this for a living. It's not like you're working for the WWE where you're setting up a match to headline WrestleMania. It's just, it's indie wrestling. You should be doing it for fun and just the passion of doing it, not so much of trying to destroy your body and ruining, months and months of being able to do this or anything else for that matter.
So what's your end goal of a wrestler? What's your career goal at this point?
My career goal is, I'm not going to say I want to make it. I mean, deep down inside, of course I would. But my goal is for someone that I train to be able to make it and do this for a living. It's me, paying it forward for the person that trained me, so forth, so on. And hopefully one day they'll be able to pass on knowledge that I pass to them and just keep it going.
How long have you actually been training other wrestlers?
I mean, I was helping the original head trainer for Big Time Wrestling, but I think when I took over for him, I want to say it's been about 2 years now.
No. What other promotions have you wrestled for besides BTW?
I've wrestled for All Pro Wrestling, Gold Rush Pro Wrestling.
Maybe in terms of place,
Baker.
Cities or
like cities. I've wrestled in probably everywhere in California you could think of. I wrestled in Oregon, I've wrestled in Arizona, Nevada, Montana, and I want to start branching out to the East Coast. I want to wrestle in New York. That's one of my goals. I want to wrestle in Texas. There's a couple promotions out there, especially Wrestle Circus, because they're doing big things out there. And definitely want to break into Canada, Mexico, and my bucket list, number one, is not to wrestle in the WWE, it's to wrestle for New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Why is that?
I love Japanese strong style. That's what I've been a fan of most of my life, and that's kind of like my goal. That's what I said I want to do. One thing I want to do before I quit wrestling is wrestle in Japan.
Why is New Japan different than WWE or any other place?
To me, that's the style that I like, and I would love to wrestle strong style in a Japanese promotion, especially the biggest one in Japan.
All right, so what's your dream match? If you could wrestle any wrestler, past, present, like who would it be?
Past, present, my dream match is wrestling Okada. That's the one person that I want to wrestle before I stop doing this.
Main event of Wrestle Kingdom for the IWGP title.
I would love to. That'd be so awesome.
Okay, so that'll do it for the interview with the BTW Heavyweight Champion Kimo. Thanks to him as well as BTW and Kirk White for letting us stay a little bit after hours, getting some footage out their wrestling school. If you're interested in being a wrestler, call them up, btwwrestling.com, either on Twitter, YouTube, all that other stuff. If you enjoyed what we're doing here on the Bulletcast, check out some of our other episodes on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, all that good fun stuff. Make sure to check out the full documentary, The Fighting Unicorn, on Brandon Tanguma at on YouTube. It's about 5 minutes. It's nothing too fancy. Uh, that's about it. So thank you guys very much. Thanks for listening. So goodbye and good night. Bye.